Good morning. I want to show you something. This is what we got. All the citizens of Sweden got one of these the other day. It's from the government. So we all got one, right? And it's about what to do. It's about war, crisis, right? On top here it says important information to all the citizens of Sweden. And then the big one here is if crisis or the war comes. I've been reading it. It says here, save this brochure. Right. And it starts off with this, and this is my main concern. Right. Remember, it's coming from the government, from the state, right? And it says, we should all stand together, we should take responsibility for our country, and we should all fight for our country. This is my main problem, that it is the government who's saying it. And that's right. Every day we are building resistance. That's what it says here. We are building resistance every day together. Okay? And then it goes on to talk about what you should do if it happens. I mean, practical stuff. If there's an airstrike, you know, how to build supplies, things like this. Right? So that's my main concern. This thing that is coming from the government. Because for a long time, the Swedish government has been the enemy, if you ask me, has been the enemy of this country, of the citizens of this country. They have been taxing people, for instance, for a long time, just increasing the taxes, right? And then you have mass immigration. And this was, of course, a decision from the government. And if you look at the result of mass immigration, the open borders, it was basically an attack on the Swedish citizens. The citizens had to deal with it. It was a threat against the Swedes, you see. And that's what the government did. So I'm sure a lot of people feel the same way as I do about this thing. It's coming from the government, and the government has been the enemy for a long time against the people. And then they came with COVID, the needle, and they said we all need to take it, right? And that was again an attack on the individuals, on the people living here, right? Basically an attack, an attempt to make people sick. And it happened. People got really sick, right? Lots of them, individuals. Like what would happen if there was an actual, airstrike. That's what would happen, right? People would get sick and die from gas or whatever. And that's what the government did. And now the government is coming in and they say, we should all stand together now and fight for all of us. That's my main problem. They are saying it. So I don't know. Another one that I thought of was this. When they opened the borders, there was a certain group of people that came into Sweden. People of a certain faith. And they also get one of these, right? How do they respond to this? What do you think? They say, oh yes, we have to fight for Sweden. We have to fight for the Swedish citizens. Do you think they say this? No, I don't think so. I think it's sort of more like in their interest if there was going to be a war in Sweden. I also think about the timing here. Perfect timing, isn't it? Sweden joined NATO some time ago. NATO want war, right? Well, I think it's obvious they want a war. You don't hear them talking about talks, negotiations, peace talks, do you? They want to keep the war going. And if you say, you know, we should end the war, they say, oh, no, we can't do it. We have to keep going. We have to have a war. It needs to continue, right? And they want it to escalate. NATO is doing this. And the Swedish government decided that Sweden should join NATO. Without asking the Swedish citizens about it, they just said it, you know, they decided it. They said, yeah, we are joining NATO now. It's in the interest of this country. But it's so obvious. I'm getting a bit pissed off about this, you see. It's so obvious, right? This was never the idea, to protect Sweden, the citizens. The idea was to have a war. Right. And now they come here and tell us that we need to defend Sweden. We need to fight. We need to stand together. We need to fight because the government is saying so, right? I have no problem, you know, defending myself, my friends, people that I like, family. You know. Yeah, I would absolutely do it. But this sort of sucks, doesn't it? That's how I feel. We want to make sure that they can continue to do what they do, which is basically attacking the citizens of Sweden. This is what the government is doing still. The borders are still pretty much wide open here, for instance. Oh. And when the next pandemic comes, I'm sure the government will be there, urging people to take the next thing, right? So this is how I feel. They are basically the enemy. I've been considering the government and the bureaucracies to be the enemies of Sweden for a long time. So why would I fight for their positions? I don't think I will. I'm sure I will not. All right. Be good.